Third and final call, Class 103, belted Galloway females to the makeup arena. This is your first call, Class 104, belted Galloway's first call, Class 104, belted Galloway females to the makeup arena. At this time, we'd like to welcome you exhibitors and attendees in the stands to the 2022 North American Belted Galloway Show. At this time, we'd like to introduce our judges here this afternoon. Travis, along with his wife Beth and sons Brett and Bryce in Pembroke, own and operate Pembroke Cattle in Fairview, Oklahoma, on land that has been owned and operated by the family for 5 generations. The Pembrokes primarily produce Angus and Red Angus cattle, along with also raising a mix of Key, Simmental, and Maine genetics to help meet a growing demand for show heifers, bred heifers, and composite bulls. Throughout the year, Travis and his family host a fall and spring production sale at the ranch, along with also having numerous other online sales. The Pembrokes exhibit cattle at many of the major livestock shows throughout the country and have been fortunate to exhibit champions in multiple breeds. When not at a show or working on the ranch, Travis and Beth enjoy judging livestock shows throughout the U.S. and working with youth during the family's summer show cattle camps and at other ag-related events throughout the United States. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me in welcoming Travis and Beth Pembroke here to the Green Chips at the North American. First call, Class 1 Prospect Steers. First call, Class 1 Prospect Steers to the makeup arena. Second call, Class 104, Belted Galloways. Second call, Class 104, Belted Galloways to the makeup arena. Second call, Class 2, Prospect Steers. Second call, Class 1, Prospect Steers. Third and final call, Class 104, Belted Galloways. Third and final call, Class 104, Belted Galloways.
Well, good afternoon. Beth and I, before we get started over here on the Belted Galloway side of things, just like to thank the North American for having us both here. We look forward to the next couple of days working with the young people as we're here evaluating their cattle. It's great to be out here on the green shavings. We're super excited about working with these young people and seeing some really, really good cattle out here. This first class is no exception. The heifer that wins the class does the most for Beth and I. Here's one that's very stylish. She's got some eye appeal, and yet when you compare to the heifer that we have in second, I think there's just a little bit more cow when you get in behind her. A little bit wider pinned, carries that down into her lower stifle, really nice. She's a heifer that's got some top in her as well. Like the substance of bone that you see in her, I think compared with her contemporaries out here in this class, really good in terms of structure as well. One that is highly fitted, very well shown. Heifer that maybe likes to get that tail head up just a touch, but I think that's kind of a nervous deal the way she's holding it up there. She gets that down and she just levels out really nice from hooks to pins. Not to take anything away from this young lady's heifer that's in second out here. This is one that when she entered the ring, you just really want to gravitate to in terms of style, balance, femininity, overall eye appeal, a sweet pattern kind of a female. Get to comparing her with the heifer that wins the class. Maybe not quite the power when you view her in from behind, not quite the width of pins out here. But this is one, as you carry her on out through her show career, I could see coming up, and Beth and I could see her coming up and rivaling that first place heifer. Gotta love that front end extension you see. Young lady's got her dialed in out here and really, really looking good. Our third place heifer that comes around in front of us now, here's one that's extremely deep bodied. She's a female that you gotta love her in terms of her forerib, that depth through the center portion of her body. She's got some rear flank in her as well. She's a heifer when you get to comparing her to the two above her, as you see her right out through that front 1/3. Maybe not quite as ladylike in that regard, but a female that we really like and one that we think has a ton of future, especially in terms of a brood cow as she goes on throughout her career. The heifer coming around next in line, another square built kind of a female. heifer that is also nicely presented. Young lady does a great job showing her out here. Like the substance of bone that you see in her as well. For us to get her up any higher in the class today, we'd like to see her just get out and track with just a little more true longevity when you compare to those three that are ahead of her. Nice way to start off our Belted Galloway show.
Third and final call, Class 1 Prospect Steers. Third and final call, Class 1 Prospect Steers. This is your first call, Class 2. First call, Class 2 Prospect Steers. First call, Class 107 Belted Galloways. First call, Class 107 Belted Galloways. Results of Class 103 of your Belted Galloway show. In first place, entry number 5, Sunnybrook Rita, exhibited by Lane Molliet. In second place, entry number 3, Sunnybrook Lily, exhibited by Cora Barnard. In third place, entry number 4, Emily Wilkerson. And in fourth place, entry number 1, Ashley Lohman. Second call, Class 107 Belted Galloways. Second call, Class 107 Belted Galloways. First call, Class 108 and 112 Belted Galloways. First call, Class 108 and 112 Belted Galloways. Second call, Class 2 Prospect Steers. Second call, Class 2 Prospect Steers to the makeup arena. Third and final call, Class 107 Belted Galloways. Third and final call, Class 107 Belted Galloways to the makeup arena. Second call, Class 108 and 112 Belted Galloways. Second call, Class 108 and 112 Belted Galloways.
Out here in our second class of Belted Galloway, it's got a really nice threesome for us. It gets pretty close between the top two out here, and for us, it kind of boils down to just overall power. We think that's where our first place heifer excels. You compare to the one that's in second. Young lady, you can go ahead and bring that second on around. And this female, you get behind her, she's got some base width. And when you compare to the heifer that's in second, a little truer in terms of just that bulge to her lower stifle there. I think she might have the edge in terms of substance of bone. You watch them get out and track. I feel like the first place heifer just a touch better in terms of how she stays apart a little bit as you watch her go from behind. Second place heifer, as I said, though, very high quality female. I like her overall structure. She's got some flex and cushion to those pasterns. It's got a nice foot underneath her. Just like to pull her apart from behind to get her up and rival that one that we have out here in first. The young lady in third, go ahead and bring your heifer around here as well. Here's a highly presented kind of a female that's really straight and good in her lines, one that just gives up a little rib shape, a little bit of size and power to those two that are ahead of her in the class today. But again, a really nice threesome. These young people done a great job bringing these cattle out here to us within this class.
Third and final call, Class 2, Prospect Steers. Third and final call, Class 2, Prospect Steers to the Makeup Arena. Results of Class 104 of your belted Galloway show. In first place, entry number 8, Casa Cattle Princess Peach, exhibited by Ashton Karen. In second place, entry number 6, Bama Belties Jody Joy, exhibited by Olivia Graham. In third place, entry number 9, Matthew Sewell. Now entering the ring will be the selection of your champion junior heifer calf. First call, Class 3, Prospect Steers. First call, Class 3, Prospect Steers to the Makeup Arena. Third and final call, Class 108 and 112 belted Galloways. Third and final call, Class 108 and 112 belted Galloways. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to welcome you spectators as well as exhibitors to the 2022 North American Prospect Steer Show. At this time, we'd like to introduce our judge, Mr. Brad Weingartner of Harrod, Ohio. Brad and his wife, Melanie, along with their son, Tyler, and daughter-in-law, Natalie, and son-in-law, Curtis and Hannah Klingeman, own and operate Weingartner Klingeman Show Cattle. They also have a daughter, Ashley, and son-in-law Shane Work, and 7 grandchildren. They run about 75 head of key Maine Angus influence cows, have an embryo transfer program, as well as an annual production sale called the Harvest of Excellence. Brad also grain farms with his brother and has judged several national and state shows, as well as raised many national champion females and bulls. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and welcome Mr. Brad Weingartner of Harrod, Ohio, here to the Green Chips.
in this first division, there's a lot of good cattle out here in this lineup. I think there's two that come to the top for us that we've talked about. The first heifer here is just really an elite female. Comes off that when she gets into the move, on her move, she's just really nice, structurally sound, and has straight lines, just really feminine up through that front end. The second heifer here in the first division, just a really big volume, big maternal look, just a really nice heifer. The other two second place heifers are nice as well. The first one out of that first class that came in second, just a really elegant look, real pretty fronted, and just a lot of volume and mass. We're going to use this first calf out of the first class to be your champion, and we're going to follow with the second place heifer out of that same class. Congratulations.
And your champion junior heifer belted Galloway calf goes to entry number 5, Sunnybrook Rita, exhibited by Lane Mollett. Your reserve champion junior heifer belted Galloway calf goes to entry number 3, Sunnybrook Lily, exhibited by Cora Barnard. Second call, Class 3, Prospect Steers. Second call, Class 3, Prospect Steers. First call, Class 116 and 117 belted Galloways. First call, Class 116 and 117 belted Galloways.
Back over on the belted Galloway side of things. Really nice threesome out here, young man. We've had him out here in the ring already today. Brings us another very nice female. You look at this one, very elegant in terms of her look. She's super maternal, really square built. Like the way she gets out and tracks as you watch her go around the ring. Feel like there's some real longevity in this female, really deep through the center portion of her body. Just appears to be a easy fleshing kind of rig out here. Congratulations to this young man. Heifer coming in second, another one that I think in terms of structure, when you compare to the one that we've got in third, excels in that regard. She might get just a notch frailer in her overall bone work when you compare to that heifer that wins the class. Maybe don't get that high neck set that comes out quite as nice out the top of her shoulder as our first place female. Young lady gets her parked out here though, and on point. It's another one that'll give you an awful nice look as well. Young lady's heifer in third, maybe not wanting to cooperate quite as well. You get past that though, maybe gets just a touch frailer in terms of her overall bone work, gives up a little weight per day of age compared to those that are ahead of her in class. Another nice class out here in our Belted Galloway show.
Well, first off, let me say it's certainly a pleasure to come down here to the North American, get asked to come down here and judge on these green shavings. It's always been so exciting for me to get to do this, and got the opportunity to do the fat steers down here and a couple other breeds, and I'm just looking forward to this, and no doubt we're starting out really nice here in our first class of steer calves. The young man brings us a gray steer here that I just really appreciate the amount of mass and power this calf has at this young age already. Up over the top side of his structure, a calf that's got some muscle, natural thickness right down through that center part of his stifle. A calf, once he kind of relaxes and get that head set right, here's one that's really high quality, and I think a really nice place for us to start. Now, I am a sucker for a good-looking one, and this young lady brings us a black and white calf that I think has got the look. I mean, here is one classy individual. Now, if we can change him out of the center part of his body to run with that one that starts our class, here's one that has a bright, bright future if he'll go ahead and feed with some center part of his body. The features of his front end, the top side of his structure is so good. When he hits the ground, I like his foot and leg, but I still think for today we got to go ahead and put him in that second hole. Nice pair starting us out here. Young lady, when I first come into this class, I thought this was my class winner. Here's one that I think's got an awful bright future. Also a calf that's got some extension up through that front. He's long spine, long back, square ended, but yet he just shallows up right through that center, down through the center part of his quarter. He's not as deep in his twist. Maybe need to just give him a little more flank to run with them two ahead of him right today, but I think that'll come. Here's a good looking one. I think will feed pretty nice and pretty easy. Young lady brings us a gray baldy calf that maybe doesn't have the extra bells and whistles, but when you really break this one particularly down, a calf that's got a nice front. He's long and extended about his front. Where he gets in trouble, he does get maybe just a little shorter in his spine. We got to reach up there and just pull that back in him, maybe lengthen him out from his hooks to his pins to run him higher today. The blue roan calf, good looking, got a lot of future to him, but a calf that maybe need to change the set of his shoulder, change his knee placement, gets a little round from his hooks to pins, but still high quality. And then as we get on down through here, I would like to talk about each and every one of them. Calves that just need a little more power, a little more punch to them. Maybe once they're on feed, they'll come along, but at this particular stage, they need to go just a little harder to get up there with them class winners.
Third and final call, class 116 and 117. Belted Galloway's third and final call, class 116 and 117. Belted Galloway females to the makeup arena, please.
Over on the Belted Galloway side, nice single entry fall again in this fall division out here. One that can certainly stand some more competition. Heifer that maybe just needs to relax a touch out here. When you see her want to relax and get out and move, you can tell there's some true quality in this female. As Beth and I were talking, like the spring of rib and the depth of rib you see in this one. Very maternal in her overall makeup, soft, easy fleshing. We love that about her. We'll look forward to seeing her back in just a moment in terms of competing within this division.
Third and final call, Class 3 Prospect Steers. Third and final call, Class 3 Prospect Steers to the makeup arena. Entry number 91 and 170. You are needed immediately. First call, Class 4 Prospect Steers. First call, Class 4 Prospect Steers. Results of Class 1 of your Prospect Steer Show: in first place, entry number 157, Colton Hoover of Mount Crawford, Indiana. In second place, entry number 154, Lila Myers of Mount Crawford, Virginia. In third place, entry number 125, Alexis Musselman. In fourth place, entry number 102, Gwyneth Souter. In fifth place, entry number 30, Perry Conley. In sixth place, entry number 156, Colton Hoover. In seventh place, entry number 113, Bentley Webb. And in eighth place, entry number 174, Rylan Albaugh. Now exhibiting in the Prospect Steer Show ring is class number 2. This is your second call, Class 4, Prospect Steers. Second call, Class 4, Prospect Steers.
In our second division in the Belt of Galloway show, we got two nice individuals here. Just have the first heifer that leads off, just a real powerful individual, structurally sound, and just a really neat show heifer prospect in our view. The young lady here in the next hole, just a really maternal brood cow for this young lady. We're going to go out here and use the young man here to win this division. Then we're going to take a second look.
And your champion senior heifer belted Galloway calf goes to entry number 11, Casa Castle Once Upon a Time, exhibited by Casa Cattle Company.
It gets a little closer as reserve division as we bring this other heifer out. Just this heifer in the front just matches up with our first place heifer that won that first division. She's going to be our reserve.
Your reserve champion senior heifer calf goes to entry number 12, Oatley's Farm Winter is Here, exhibited by Ethan Oatley. First call, Class 120 and 121 belted Galloways. First call, Class 120 and 121 belted Galloways. Third and final call, Class 4 Prospect Steers. Third and final call, Class 4 Prospect Steers.
Well, I think the heat got turned up pretty quick here in this particular class. I think with the three steers that we got standing up here on top, man, we could talk about them quite a bit in different ways or shapes or forms. But I think for me, I think this gray steer probably does it the best for me, just in terms of the way he ties things together. He balances up from one end to the other better than the other two. Behind him here, I think a calf that just fits together so nice. Study this one as he gets around around the ring. He's got that big foot, still ties together. His joint works really good, and he's just very, very balanced. I like that about that calf. I love this red calf. I like the look of him. I love his color. I like everything about him. But when you want to talk about balance, he gets maybe just a little deeper in that chest floor. Maybe could change that ever so slightly. It would sure make me want to push that gray steer ever so slightly. Here's a big bone, stout made one that's really good at the ground. Balance him up right there out of his chest floor, makes him go a little closer for me. Nice redneck roan calf here in 3. Just a little shorter spined, a little quicker in his kind. Maybe isn't as neat in his joint work as them 2 ahead of him, but yet still high quality. Here's one big back calf, kind of a calf. Need maybe just a little more back there in the seat of his pants to kind of run with them other 2, but yet still high quality. Young lady's going to have a good time with him all year. Next young man brings us a nice, good-looking kind of a calf out here that's just not maybe quite ready to run with them ones ahead of him. Really a long spine kind of a calf that's really square out of his hip. Maybe just doesn't hit and reach quite as nice off of them rear 2 as them ones ahead of him. He's still really uncomfortable out here. Maybe he's got just a little more set in that hock than maybe what I'm after. But yet, when this little guy gets this one parked, it's really pretty nice. I think he'll have a bright future once that one gets some feed in him and gets on down the road. Big bone, big stout one right here, and I am a sucker for a big stout boned one. But yet, when you do all them things, he's got to have a little more power. He's got to have a little more back. He's got to have a little more natural muscle and thickness, especially through that seat of his, or down through the center part of his quarter, but still really high quality. Go ahead and get this one on feed, see what happens with that bone and that foot in him. You got a nice place to start. Young lady coming next has got the greenest one in this particular lineup. Still has got a bright future to him. Just gives up a lot of meat and muscle and shape to run with them, the ones ahead. Gets a little rounder, rounding our class out, rounder made. Doesn't reach and fill his track quite as nice, but a nice place for us with that pair on the top end of this class.
Second call, Class 120 and 121 belted Galloways. Second call, Class 120 and 121 belted Galloways.
Over in our belted Galloway ring, this will be an automatic champion reserve in our summer division. Pretty close top pair out here for Beth and I. The heifer, though, that wins the class, the gray and white female in front of me right now. Here's one that just lines out very nice in terms of her pattern and her profile and her look out here on the standstill. She's a heifer that's got some muscle shape as well and some dimension when you get around behind her. We like that about her, really deep through the center portion of her body. Really good as well in terms of up through that forerib and back through her flank. Set her into motion, and I think our top 2 females, there's some give and take in these 2. We felt like the gray heifer had just a notch more cushion in terms of her pastern. We like the way she flexed just a little bit better out here on the move. Still gets just a shot shorter stride and her choppy, if you will, compared to some others that we've seen out here today. That's a really good and deserving female to win the division. The heifer that comes in reserve within this division, as I said, very close. You get her out on the move, she's another one you'd maybe like to see her handle those hind 2 just a notch differently. Gets a little bit straighter hock, likes to get up on those pasterns just a notch as you watch her get out and go around the ring. And for us, where her and the gray female maybe didn't, or maybe separated themselves a little bit out here, you watch this black heifer get out on the move, maybe like to see her handle her top line just a notch better. Wants to get up just behind those shoulders ever so slightly. We'd like to change that. You get past that, though, and get to looking at this young lady's heifer out here on the standstill. Here's one that's soft-made, very elegant, one that is really highly presented, doing a great job getting her shown as well. The third female out here, here's a different kind of female. She doesn't really match up with our top 2. We talked about we really appreciate the freshness and her overall conditioning out here when compared to our top 2. She's a heifer, too. We'd maybe like to see get out and stride or move just a notch differently out here. A female that maybe gives up some rib shape and some dimension. We like the explosive growth you see in her. We like that neat up-headed look you see in her from the side view profile. Just like to see her get out and go a notch better today. Congratulations.
Third and final call, Class 120 and 121, belted Galloway's third and final call, Class 120 and 121, belted Galloway females. Your champion belted Galloway Intermediate Heifer goes to entry number 20, Border View Fleetwood Stevie Nicks, exhibited by Lexi Zepp. Your reserve champion goes to entry number 18, Highland Oats Jolene, exhibited by Ashley Lohman. Results of Class 2 in your Prospect Steer Show: in first place, entry number 140, Taylor Barton of Sabina, Ohio. In second place, entry number 169, Lauren McIntosh of Winchester, Ohio. In third place, Morgan Antil. In fourth place, Kason Goradinato. In fifth place, Cade Post. In sixth place, Emily Caffey. In seventh place, Colton Bodges. Now exhibiting in the ring is class number 3 of your Prospect Steers. This is your first call, Class 5. Prospect Steers, first call, Class 5. Prospect Steers.
Check, check. I think we really got a nice set of steers here, and really nice on the top pair of these steers. They're really kind of similar, and so I kind of walked them once again just to see which one was probably, in my mind, just a little more comfortable once I got them out in motion, and I believe the young lady steer probably does that for me. Both of them's packed full of meat. They're big backed and got a lot of hip in them, got a lot of muscle down through that center part of their quarter already at this stage. It is separated them. I think it's at the ground. ground. I think this black and white steer that just kind of meets the ground maybe just a little nicer, a little more comfortable than our steer there in 2 does. And then when you want to talk about maybe just through some small little subtle differences, maybe he's got just a little more power right out of that center part of his quarter than our second place calf does. But yet 2 really close pairings right there. And like I said, this second place calf, I think he's sound enough, but it maybe not quite reach and feels quite as nice as that calf does that starts my class for me. I think a high quality calf. I think one that this young man's going to have a lot of fun with on down through the year. I think this is one that's going to be an easy feeding kind of calf. Just kind of comparing the 2 for me today. Had to just kind of put him in that second hole just because of the way he wants to reach and feel off them back ones. Young lady brings us a nice red calf here coming out in 3. Got a lot of extension up through his front 1/3. He's really a long spine calf, in which maybe that probably hurt him in this particular lineup. He just didn't maybe fit quite as nice with that top pair of steers in terms of that. He's really long and got a long hip in him, maybe isn't as powerful. You watch this one get about the ring. He's not as comfortable off of them rear 2 neither, and that's really one of the things that I'm really pretty picky about. All white steer coming next, got a lot of class about him, good looking, especially through that front 1/3 of his body. He is sharp-headed, sharp-necked, like that about him. A calf that just got to bring it down, soften down, set down maybe just a little nicer, handle that rear hock a little bit better to get him up in this particular class. Young man brings us a nice calf here, a good kind of a calf in, I guess it'd be a 5th spot here. Long spine, big backed, square-ended kind of calf where he runs in trouble. He just doesn't have as much natural thickness, as much power at this early stage, but one I think could feed and go ahead and get right along with it. He's sound enough. He's going to be here at the end just because he's got the right kind of a structure to him. The next calf maybe gets a little straight off of both ends. He's kind of flexing and snapping off of them rear ankles out here for me. But yet when he gets him stopped, he's still got that good show steer look. He's long and extended about his front. Just need to soften him up, give him a little more flex. The red baldy steer just got to get some more power in him to make him run any higher, get some more natural red meat in him. But yet still good looking, long and extended. Just a nice class of steers going there.
Back over in the Belta Galloway show, really a nice class of March females out here. These 2 young men that have our top 2 heifers out here. They kind of came loaded for bear, I think, out here within this class. Heifer that comes in first for Beth and I just does the most things right for us, even though this is a very, very close placing in first and second, and we could see you want to plead a case for either one of these heifers. I think for us, you get around behind both these females. The heifer that we've gotten first, you look at her from her hook bones back into her pins, and I think there's just a little more true width and shape as you get up on them and kind of look at them from our view out here. We like that about her as well. We felt like she might be just a notch fresher in terms of her overall conditioning, yet you put your hands on them, they handle pretty comparable out here. So as you get to study them a little more, we think we like the undercarriage that you see in this first place female one that's still really good in terms of her forerib and the way she carries that back into her flank, but real nice, real clean naveled. That kind of sets this heifer apart out here. Then you get to some of the just basic traits. I think that heifer's adequate in terms of her overall soundness. Really elegant in terms of the side view profile that she gives you out here as well. Young man's heifer in second. As I said, she runs a pretty hard race out here with the heifer that we've gotten first, and it's from this view right here. Really square, really boxy. You love that about her. You love that depth through the center portion of her body. She's really loose in the way she's put together out here. Good foot under, like the substance of bone and the structure you see in her. As I said, you compare to that one that we've gotten first, maybe not quite the true width when you get around behind her in terms of there from her hook bones back into her pin setting there. Maybe like to clean up that navel and underline just a notch better, but another very nice female, and one, as I said, runs a real hard race. Then it gets to be another kind of two-pair class out here between our third and our fourth. Wouldn't argue with you. I think you could plead a case for either one of these females. The heifer that we put in third, though, maybe doesn't have as much honor today as the two that are ahead of her, but one that's very elegant in her appearance out here. Probably the cleanest jointed female within the class. And you can tell that in terms of her structure when you ask her to get out and go out here. One that's very fresh in her conditioning as well. Just gives up some power and mass to the heifers really on either side of her today. Young lady's heifer that's coming around the bend right here. Think there's some good parts and pieces to this one. You got to like the early growth that you see in her, the length of side, relatively sound in terms of filling her track with that back foot. For Beth and I, where we'd like to change her, it's from her shoulders forward. We'd like to see her get out and move just a notch better out of that front end and maybe blend just a little bit more sweeter and feminine when you compare to those that are ahead of her in class. Nice class of March females.
Third and final call, Class 5 Prospect Steers. Third and final call, Class 5 Prospect Steers to the makeup arena. Results of Class 3 of your Prospect Steers. In first place, entry number 81, Victoria Heiler. In second place, entry number 170, Tyler Leggy-Bobo. In third place, entry number 110, Riley Harriman. In fourth place, Cheyenne Baker. Fifth place, Sam Jennings. Sixth place, Dalton Gibson. And in seventh place, Ashlyn Herber.
Over on our belt to Galloway side, another really nice class of February females out here. There's some differences here in type and kind. Heifer that wins the class, as you can see out here, a little stouter in her overall appearance and makeup. Really broody, really soft, I think, in terms of structure within this pair. I mean, you could get to picking on her just a little bit, but for Beth and I'd say she's adequate in terms of her overall structure. Young lady gets her parked out here, and you can see from my view, really soft, really elegant, nice make, gives you a heck of a look. Appreciate that she's a February, and she's supposed to calve in February as well. That's a big deal to us, and we appreciate that about this female. Get back here to the heifer that's right behind her, another one that I think you'd have to say is really clean jointed. She's got a nice hind leg set to her as well. Feminine, a little bit greener in her overall makeup when you compare her to that first place heifer, which would lead you to saying she's a notch fresher maybe, but gives up some length of side and some power to the one that wins the class.
Results of Class 117 of your belted Galloway show. In first place, entry number 27, Oatley's Farm Parvati, exhibited by Olivia Oatley. In second place, entry number 29, Harmony Meadows Tsunami, exhibited by Sophia Romani. Now entering the belted Galloway ring will be the selection of your champion junior yearling heifer. First call, Class 6 Prospect Steers. First call, Class 6 Prospect Steers.
As we get out here in our spring big heifer division out here in the Belted Galloway show, let's put our hands together for these exhibitors for bringing us such a nice set of females within this division. Really strong competition from end to end. Young man's heifer coming around in front of me. Here's one that, as I've said about some others throughout the show, I think runs a pretty hard race. One you could sure say is a contender out here and plead a case for. I'll tell you some things we see about her. From her shoulders back, we just absolutely love this one. She's got a nice, neat, fresh look about her that makes a person really want to gravitate to that female. From her shoulders forward, you get to looking at her out here on the profile, and you get just in front of the point of that female's shoulder, and just kind of the way that brisket comes out and lays on her. It can once in a while, when we're getting this nitpicky and this tough a division, just throw her off a little bit in terms of her silhouette or her outline. You get past that, though, and here's one that's got all the parts and pieces, like we said earlier, I think adequate in terms of her structure, just gives you a nice look. One that, as I just said, it's an easy contender out here. Then we get back to the young ladies female that wins that last class that's circling out here in front of us. And for a big girl, I think she's adequate in terms of her overall structural as well. You get up on her from our angle, she's got a real good foot under. We like that about her. Like the substance of bone that you see about her as well. female that's bold sprung, really big ribbed, got a big old square hip in her as you look how she comes out from hooks to pins out here. Female that is sure a contender as well. Does she look quite as fresh as the one that's in front of her? Maybe not, but really, really nice pair out here. And then you get back to our respected reserves, and you've got a heifer that was second in that first class, and I think that's another heifer you could sure plead a case for, as we said earlier, in terms of working her up in the lineup, if that's what fit your particular program. Young lady's heifer directly behind her, another very nice female in her own right as well. With all that being said, I'm going to let Beth go out and show you the two that we like the best in the order that we like. Again, congratulations on a very nice division out here.
Well, over here on our prospect steer side, man, we got in a class that is really, really good. And I think that one that just suits me the nicest up here is the yellow steer, that he's just so complete in his kind, a calf that lays everything together. He's thick enough, he's stout enough. He's not the thickest one of this trio up here on the top end, but when you put all the parts and pieces together, for me, this calf brings it to the table. I like his extension through his front. I like the length of top he has in him. I like the squareness out of from his hooks to pins. Ask this one to go. There's some longevity. I think that one's going to make an awful good fat steer right there. I think the black steer here too has got a bright, bright future, but he wants to get just a little lower there at his shoulder than our class winner does. He's not quite as comfortable out of that front end as our class winner also, but still high quality. Maybe doesn't have as much power up through his top side of his structure as that one that wins the class. Still like this calf a whole bunch because he's so good at the ground. He's got the right kind of footwork. I appreciate that about him. I think this will be just a nice, easy feeding kind of a calf coming right here for us here in the 2-hole. I really appreciate the power that this young man brings us with this gray calf. This gray calf, once this thing kind of gets broke and settles down and kind of starts liking himself, there's moments out here where you think, man, I got to start the class with him just with that extra power and shape that he has. But yet then he wants to just kind of get jammed back up in himself. He just needs to relax and bring that back down into him. He wants, when he gets so stiff, he wants to get a little straight in his shoulder and makes him want to really kind of not bring out, be as sound out of his front as he truly needs to be. Love the power of that calf. Once he relaxes, you're going to have a good time with that calf. And that's the thing about this thing. I mean, there's so many jackpots. These things are going to change 2 weeks from now. You could shake these things up completely different, and I get it, you know. So this is my opinion out here on that top trio. I like them three awful well. I not take anything away from this young man coming next. He's just not quite as ready. He doesn't have as much bloom to him, especially out of the top side of his structure. A calf we just need to blow apart up there to run with them three ahead of him. But, man, you want to talk about one. If I was feeding one maybe for the state fair or something like that, here's maybe one that I'd really light into, because he's got the bells and whistles in terms of just his look and his shape. Just need to give him just a little more power to run with them ones ahead of him today. The next calf coming out, it's got that show steer look to him where he gets in trouble. He's just a little shallower in his flank. He doesn't have near as much undercarriage to him as them ones ahead of him, but yet still so good looking on the side profile. Got some actual muscle and shape through that center part of his quarter. We just need to soften him down, give him just a little more power down low in this particular class. Next calf coming out, he's probably maybe just a little raw, if I can use that term. He doesn't balance up. He's a little deeper in his chest, gets a little shallower in his flank, doesn't have as much stifle muscle in him yet. I think an easy feeding kind of calf for this young man. I think he'll be a nice calf on down the road. Coming out, and then the next trio of steers here, they just need to have a little more muscle, a little more shape to them, give them a little more flex, maybe a little more longevity, get them on down to that finished product, change them ever so slightly. This is a nice deep class of steers. Please put your hands together. Show these kids that you like them just a little bit.
Go back over on the belted Galloway side of things. We've got a single entry late November out here, and as you can see, a heifer that young man brings to us, one that could sure stand some more competition. there's some things Beth and I really like about her. Here they are. You get around. Why don't you go ahead and bring her out in front of me? Here's one as you start from the ground up. You really got to like her structure. She gets out and takes a nice, long, relaxed stride out here on the move. She's a clean jointed kind of a female as well. Young man gets her parked out here on the side view profile. Here's one that is really square built, really neat fronted. One of the more feminine heifers we've had out here today. Like the way she ties in at the point of her shoulder, really nice. Really up-headed, just gives you a cool look. For us, if maybe we were going to pick on her just a touch today, with being the age she is, young man says she's not bred yet, and this is typically about the time you'd like to see one this age, starting to think about calving, give or take a month or two, but maybe like to change that about her, but get past that. That's a really high-quality female. Congratulations to this young man.
Third and final call, Class 6, Prospect Steers. Third and final call, Class 6, Prospect Steers. Results of your belted Galloway show. Your champion junior yearling heifer goes to entry number 27, Oatley's Farm Pervati, exhibited by Olivia Oatley. Your reserve champion junior yearling heifer goes to entry number 23, Sunnybrook Rebel, exhibited by Lane Molliet. Your Class 120 winner goes to entry number 31, Gypsy's Heaven, exhibited by Reed Craig. Now exhibiting in the ring is class number 121. This is your first and second call, all champion and reserve champion belted Galloways. Once again, your first and second call, all champion and reserve champion belted Galloway females to the makeup arena.
We're on our belt, a Galloway ring, another single entry, one that's nicely presented. Young lady does a great job showing her out here as well. Some nice parts and pieces to this female. Like the hind leg set that you see in her, would like to see her maybe get out and reach just a notch truer as she goes about the ring. Might be just a deal with being out here by herself and needing to relax. Get behind this heifer, I think there's some power traits, some base width to her, some things like that to appreciate on her. She's a heifer that gives you a nice look from the side. We'll look to have her back in contention for our fall champion and reserve here in just a moment.
Results of Class 4 of your Prospect Steers. In first place, entry number 141, Carson Martin of Sabina, Ohio. In second place, entry number 29, Cale Redman of Guston, Kentucky. In third place, Caden McGuffey. Fourth place, Colton Bodges. Fifth place, Colton Kearns. Sixth place, Wyatt Holloway. Seventh place, Kinsley Harris. Eighth place, Sadie Jackson. And in ninth place, Chad Burrows. Now entering the belted Galloway ring is a selection of your champion senior yearling heifer.
Back out here in contention in our fall division with our belted Galloways. I've talked about the gray heifer out here to my right. This is one Beth and I really like a bunch, a female that is probably one of the better structured females of the day. Really like the longevity that you can project in her in terms of making it as a cow for several years. Female that's really nice patterned, really nice outlined out here. really a contender within this division. Then the heifer we just talked about that comes out of the second class in the division. As you can see, she's a bolt-sprung, deep-ribbed female that has some muscle shape and some expression. Maybe not quite as good out of her front end as that heifer that's in front of her. Maybe like to change her up a notch in terms of the way she gets out and goes around the ring. With that being said, we're going to go back to the heifer on my right. She's going to be our champion, the gray heifer. Out here within this division, heifer to our left is going to be the reserve. Congratulations to both these young people.
Congratulations to your champion senior yearling heifer in your belted Galloway show. To entry number 31, Gypsy's Heaven, exhibited by Reed Craig. Your reserve champion goes to entry number 33, Craigalachi Holly, exhibited by Olivia Graham. Now entering the belted Galloway show will be the selection of your grand champion heifer. First call, Class 7, Prospect Steers. First call, Class 7, Prospect Steers. Second call, Class 7, Prospect Steers. Second call, Class 7, Prospect Steers.
as we get back out here in our championship belt at Galloway Drive. Let's give these exhibitors another big round of applause for bringing us such a great set of cattle out here today. This is one of our first times working with this breed and the young people, and the cattle from end to end just really, really impressive. Maybe not some of the numbers you see sometimes with some others, but you get to looking at this lineup from end to end, and I think there's several that you could sure go out here and make a case for. Young man's heifer that wins the first division. When we talked about her, here's one that's very youthful in her appearance. Heifer that is really neat outline, gives you a nice sharp look out here. Love the way she's put together in terms of her overall substance of bone, the way she can get out and roll. She's one, we're not ones to use calves a lot, but if you were going to out here, that's one that you could sure count on as a contender for us, and one that I think this time next year is going to be awfully good as well. A lot of longevity in that female. Get back to the November heifer that wins the second division, another one that's really soft, really broody, really loose in the way she's built and put together. Love the structure you see in her when you ask her to get out and go. She's another player out here within this lineup for Beth and I. The gray heifer that comes out of the summer division, that was a pretty tough division. Top pair of heifers in there were both really good. As you can see from our angle, really like the overall muscle expression, the width you see in her. She's kind of the power heifer out here, really big topped female. With that being said, though, too, she starts getting just a little bit coarser jointed. You put her out here on the move and compare to the heifers that are on either side of her, maybe like to just relax her up a notch, give her just a little bit more flex and cushion. But that's a nice one this young lady brings us, and one that's sure going to be a nice breeding piece within her program. We've got the big stout February female that's out here directly in front of me now. Really a long-sided kind of a female. I really like that about her. Beth and I really like, as you see her from hooks to pins and how she comes out of that hip so long and so square. We love that about her as well. Heifer that's really nice in terms of her undercarriage and her overall teat design. We appreciate, too, that she's supposed to calve right at 2 years of age as well. Just a lot of quality in that female. She's another one out here that's a player for Beth and I as well. We talked about the late November female, the gray and white heifer that wins that last fall division. Heifer that's made super cool. You got to like that about her. Love her joints, love her structure, like her mobility when you ask her to get out and go. Maybe just gives up some power to that heifer in front of her. She's a heifer that we'd like to see bred at this stage in the game as well. But with that being said, it's been a real joy for Beth and I to be out here and evaluate the belt of Galloway cattle today and work with your juniors. And again, congratulations, and we're going to go show you the two that we like.
Well, over here on our steer side, and it just got really, really good, and it got really deep. And on this top pair of steers, man, you can talk to yourself each way on them. For me, you got to make up your mind whether we're judging them today or whether we're judging them with some future. I think for today, the reason the gray steer is going to win this particular class, I think he just comes to us more maybe ready today in terms of just his mass up over the top side of his structure. He's so powerful ended, so big in his stifle muscle, yet sets down and very true and square out of that hock. I like this calf quite a bit. Could I change him ever so slightly out of that front 1/3? Maybe just a little bit. Just raise him up, give him just a little more elevation there. But man, that'd be nitpicking on one that's just big back and awful, awful good, and really, really in the right shape in this particular class. Now, if I was just looking for one for the future, maybe a state fair time, the extension this young lady brings us with this second place calf, man, that is wild looking out here. He's so good in terms of his knee, the way he sets in that shoulder, but where he gets in trouble with that gray steer in this particular class for me, he's not as good in his forerib and up high right out of the backside of his shoulder as that calf that starts our class. Big ended though, got a lot of meat and muscle, got a lot of stifle, got a lot of future. When this calf grows up, man, it could be a handful. I wish you all the luck in the world. I think that one's pretty cool. Now we want to talk about this young lady's white sock calf, a calf that I think, man, this one's got future. Is he ready to rock and roll out here right today? Maybe not, but a calf that I just kept coming back to. A calf that's so good in terms of his top side of his structure, a calf that's really big in his back end here, a calf that's got some meat and muscle and shape down through that center part of his quarter. Where he's really good is at the ground. The calf is really super sound. He's going to be here for the long haul. The calf just maybe isn't quite as bloomy and as big backed as them two ahead of him today, but yet I think a calf that's got a bright future to him. The young man brings us out a really sharp-ended kind of calf, super good out of his front 1/3, maybe almost too extreme. He wants to get up there and get it lifted up too high, makes him jammed up ever so slightly. He wants to get in trouble right there behind his shoulder blade ever so slightly, but a calf that he too, man, once he kind of settles into it, kind of gets down here and gets to feeding, gets a little more bark up over top of him, I think a calf that's sure got a bright future. I thought this class was just incredibly deep, and here's one that I think maybe come summertime, he'll hang right there with the rest of them too. Young man brings us one that is good looking right out here. When he gets this one stopped, it's on the money. But where he gets in trouble for me was when I put him in motion. He just doesn't reach and fill his track quite as nice. When you study him from his hooks to pins, he comes up a little shorter than them ones ahead of him. Give him just a little more length back there in his hip to run with him. From his hip forward, though, that's one really, really good kind of a calf. The blue roan calf coming out now is just a good feeding kind of a calf. Here's one come next summer. He's going to have a big back and a big carcass kind of a calf that's going to stay very true and square. He just doesn't have as much natural muscle and as much pulled apart in him as them ones ahead of him. Yet I think one that'll go ahead and feed. Then winding up our class, here's two high-quality ones, folks. I think calves that sure got a lot of good about them. We can talk about things with them. I just need to make them go a little nicer off of, especially this next calf coming off his rear tube, makes him a little more comfortable. Then winding up our class, he too just shallows up in the center part of his body. Got to give him a little depth back there in that flank, loosen him up out of his front end, make him go any higher. Nice class, though.
Tension in the barns. All belted Galloway steers to the makeup arena immediately. All belted Galloway steers to the makeup arena immediately. Tension in the barns. All mismarked belted Galloway heifers and percentage heifers to the makeup arena. Once again, all mismarked belted Galloway heifers and percentage heifers to the makeup arena. And your grand champion belted Galloway Junior Heifer goes to entry number 27 of the Junior Yearling Division, Oatley's Farm Parvati, exhibited by Olivia Oatley. Your reserve grand champion belted Galloway female goes to entry number 5, Sunnybrook Rita, exhibited by Lane Molliet. Once again, attention in the barns, all purebred belted Galloway steers, mismarked heifers, and percentage steers and percentage heifers to the makeup arena immediately. Once again, all belted Galloway steers, mismarked heifers, percentage steers, and percentage heifers to the makeup arena. First call, Class 8 prospect steers. First call, Class 8 prospect steers to the makeup arena. Once again, all belted Galloway steers, mismarked heifers, percentage steers, and percentage heifers to the makeup arena. Second call, Class 8 prospect steers. Your second call, Class 8 prospect steers to the makeup arena.
Well, I think a very, very practical place for me to start in this particular class with this gray steer, and probably ringside you're thinking, man, this guy's got something against black steers, but it just seems like it's kind of sorted them gray-colored steers or them colored steers up to the top. But in my mind, this calf is kind of right after what I'm kind of looking for. He kind of suits me to the kind that I have kind of been earlier in the day trying to get to, too. A calf that, you know, if we could change him ever so slightly, maybe give him just a little more length of front. But when you talk about balance and the way he builds off of the ground, a calf that I love his joint work, a calf that is so big sprung through the center part of his body with enough meat and muscle and power. Just a good-looking calf with a young lady that can flat get it done out here showing him. My compliments to that young lady. The young man coming here with the second calf has got one that's got some future to him. Here's a good-built one, a calf that's super sound, super functional in terms of that, but a calf that just doesn't have as much back in him as that one that starts our class. He's not as big sprung through the center part of his body as that calf, but yet I think still really high quality. I think a really nice place for us to go with that second place calf. The young lady with this third calf, I think's got one that once this one kind of gets on feed and kind of deepens down, he gets a little high in the center part of his twist. We're comparing him to them ones ahead of him. He just isn't as powerful from his hooks back. He's just not as powerful as them two ahead of him in terms of just having that natural muscle and shape to him, but yet still high quality, good looking. The calf will feed, he could get right in there too. And that goes along with this young man's brockle-headed calf. He's just maybe wanting to come to me just in maybe a couple different pieces out here. The pieces are good and the pieces are there, but they just maybe don't tie together quite as nice. He wants to get a little low in the placement of his shoulder. He wants to get a little high in the center part of his back. He's not as comfortable in terms of his true, the way he wants to set that hock and drive off of it, but yet still good looking when he gets him stopped and parked. The red steer is maybe really questionable for me out here, and I had him from top to bottom in this particular class, but I think when I really break this calf down, he wants to get a little too steep out of that shoulder, maybe just doesn't reach and flex and be as comfortable at the ground. Big backed, maybe gets a little more power through the seat of his pants to run him any higher. Good looking calf to wind our class up. Man, he's just already kind of maybe pushing some shoulder for me. Dude's got all kinds of muscle and look to him. Just got to free him up, make him go just a little nicer. Man, this class was really good from top to bottom, though. My compliments to these exhibitors.
Third and final call, Class 8 Prospect Steers. Third and final call, Class 8 Prospect Steers. Once again, all belted Galloway steers, mismarked heifers, percentage steers, and percentage heifers to the makeup arena.
Back over at our belted Galloway show, we've got a nice pair of prospect steers out here in contention for this class. The steer that we leave in first is one that we really like the stature and the build on, really square built. I think good enough or adequate for us in terms of base width. When you get around behind him, you can tell he's got some muscle expression as well. He's one that we're really comfortable with in terms of the way he gets out and goes. Like his substance of bone, just a nice package to win this class. Wouldn't argue with you if you wanted to plead a case for the steer that's in second out here in terms of just overall growth and length of sight. I think he might have the advantage there. There are just a couple little things we would like to change about him. When we compare him to the one in first, he maybe gets just a notch rounder from hooks to pins. That could give him the edge maybe in terms of overall muscle when compared to the one that we've got in first. But I think the real separation between these two is kind of up through that front end as well. Like the way on our first place steer that knee locks in really good. Second place steer maybe wants to just come out over his knee just ever so slightly for us. Like to change him in that front 1/3 to get him above our steer that's in first. Congratulations on a nice pair. Over on the belt of Galloway market steers, Beth and I really appreciate the nice class of market steers these young people have brought out before us. For us, this black steer's an easy class winner. You start from the ground up. We're the most comfortable with him in terms of his overall structure. He might not be quite the biggest bone one out here, but he's clean jointed. For us, he's very long-sided. We love that about him as well. Nicely presented, really level from hooks to pins. Still has some shape to him when you get around behind him and some base width as well. Masculine up through that front end, but yet still ties it in so nice and so smooth. Just a pretty logical, high-quality class winner for Beth and I. Gets a little tighter for second and third between our second and third steer here. Let's go ahead and bring that third place around as well. We're just maybe a notch more comfortable with this second place steer in terms of when you put him out into motion when compared to our third place steer was kind of wanting to dip in his pins ever so slightly. This second place steer, here's one that's just packed full of muscle, got a real nice bulge to that lower stifle. He's big bodied, very big boned, maybe like to just lengthen him out a notch when you compare him to the steer that wins the class. Maybe give him just a little more length and extension out through that front end as well. Third place steer, though, another very nice steer. Ran a really hard race for second place out here for us. It's one you really got to like on the standstill. Steer that as you get around behind him, you got to appreciate the width you see in him as well. He's an easy feeding kind of a steer in terms of his look and his softness. Just maybe like to change him out here from hooks to pins a notch to get him any higher in the class. Steer coming around next in line, a long-sided kind of a steer. Really appreciate that about him. Maybe has a little bit of trouble when you ask him to get out and go in terms of how he handles that right rear pastern. Acts like he's just a touch gimpy on that back leg as you watch him get out here and go. But on the standstill, here's one that'll sure get out and grab your attention. Young man has him highly presented, does a great job showing him out here. Young lady's steer coming next in line, one that's really smooth in the way he's put together. Just like to change him up in his overall structure to make him come up and rival these steers that are ahead of him in class. Congratulations on a real nice set of market steers.
Results of Class 126 of your Club Calf Belted Galloway steers. In first place, entry number 35, Sunnybrook Maestro, exhibited by Tommy McGuire. In second place, entry number 36, Sunnybrook Ike, exhibited by Kaylee Eichelman. Your Class 128 results: in first place, entry number 37, Oatley's Farm Earl, exhibited by Olivia Oatley. In second place, entry number 38, Sunnybrook Cody, exhibited by Charlotte Albaugh. In third place, entry number 39, Emily Wilkerson. In fourth place, entry number 40, Marshall Finke. And in fifth place, entry number 42, Jeffrey, Ellen, and Alexa Adler.
Just a really high quality set of steers in this particular class, and I think really good up here in the top 3 or 4. I think the calf that I'm going to start with, I chose to start with, is the one that just balances up the nicest for me. I love this calf in terms of his center body, the way he ties together in his flank. I like that, and that's where he's got the advantage for me with the second calf. Then when you put all that parts and pieces together, here's one that's super extended. He's so fresh and good-headed, so good in terms of where he balances up in the top side of his structure. He just reads so good there. He's got enough muscle and shape to him. Super sound. Love his joint work. Love his foot size. I think a calf that's got a bright, bright future. I don't want to take anything away from this young lady's calf here in 2, because I know this calf's going to get really, really, really good someday. But yet, for me, comparing him to that calf that starts our class, she gets this one stopped, man, it's really good right there. But for me, we just got to deepen him down in his flank to run with that one that starts our class. Still, in terms of just good looking, he's so good in his knee placement. He's so good in his hock placement. A calf that's got some extension about his front. He's got enough meat and muscle in him. Soften him down through that center part, especially in his flank area, to run with that class winner, and it gets real, real good. Young lady with this black and white calf coming out next. Here's one that I think's got a bright future to him, but yet when you get underneath this hair for me today, he doesn't have as much product in him. He is not as stout as them two ahead of him. Love his bone work, and that's why he got the advantage over the next calf that's coming out. I like his bone work. I like that big pipe on him. I like that extension through his front. I like his squareness up over his top. Just got to give him just a little more dimension to run with them two ahead of him today, but I think that one's got a world of future to him. He needs to stay loose enough in his structure, because every once in a while I'll catch him and he wants to come up in his back, but if he'll do that, I think that one's awful good. Classy show steer coming for this young lady next. Just runs out of gas, especially up high comparing to them. Stouting him up at the ground, give him just a little more width, but yet good looking. Maybe relax him in his shoulder just to run with them. Young man brings us a nice one with this Brockle-headed one. Here's an easy feed and easy keeping kind of a calf. Just needs to really power up from his hooks back. Calf just needs more hip in him just to run with them ones ahead of him. Set him down truer and square and off of his hock. Gets a little unbalanced in his chest floor, but I think still high quality. Big stout gray kind of calf coming next. Man, he's probably got the most muscle of anything in this particular class, but along with that comes he gets a little wide in his shoulder placement. He's got some too much width in his chest floor, wants to get a little short strided off of both ends. Then the young man with our black calf winding up our class, just kind of wanting to get up in his back, gets off in them two rear wheels as he gets away from us, but a really strong class of steers going there.
Second call, Class 9 Prospect Steers. Second call, Class 9 Prospect Steers.
Over in our Belta Galloway ring, we're out here in contention. We've got our prospects in with our markets. The young calf to my far right that wins the prospect show, we talked about him earlier. Really like his stature, like his overall soundness. Think you can really read some longevity into that steer. The black steer that just won the tough class of big steers, we just talked about him. He's one that you've really got to like his outline, his stature, his look, his length and extension, and yet he still puts that together with some real power traits out here as well. He's one that Beth and I feel like is a super contender out here. Then you get back to our prospective seconds out here within this lineup, and I think you could sure plead a case for one of those as well. With that being said, Beth and I have kind of made up our minds what we want to do out here. I'm going to let her show you our champion and reserve belt at Galloway steers this evening. Congratulations.
Your grand champion purebred belted Galloway steer goes to entry number 37, Oatley's Farm Earl, exhibited by Olivia Oatley. Your reserve grand champion purebred belted Galloway steer goes to entry number 38, Sunnybrook Cody, exhibited by Charlotte Albaugh. Now entering the belted Galloway ring will be your purebred mismarked heifers. This is your first call, belted Galloway Junior Showmanship. First call, belted Galloway Junior Showmanship. Third and final call, Class 9 Prospect Steers. Third and final call, Class 9 Prospect Steers.
We only have one female out here in contention for a mismarked division within the belted Galloways, but March female that could sure stand some more competition out here. Heifer that maybe needs just a shot more time in the ring to kind of get relaxed, but when she does, you can sure get a nice look at this female. Really elegant and feminine in her overall appearance. Love the length and extension you see out through that front end as well. I think one that's sure adequate in terms of her overall structure. I think there's some real longevity and a bright future ahead of this female. Congratulations to this young lady.
Well, like our last class, I think one that comes to me and where I read this young man's calf, the center part of his body is what I like so much about this particular calf. Man, when you read this one from his chest floor back through his flank, that's what wins this particular class for me. Then when you throw the other parts and pieces together, he's good at the ground. You like his bone work. You like how clean jointed the calf is. Read him up high out of the center part of his body. He's really good in terms of his back shape. He's really good from his hooks to pins. Just a solid calf. Good show steer going right there. classy is the word I want to come up with here for this young lady's second place calf, but comparing him with our class winner, he's not as deep in his flank. He's not as smooth from his chest floor back. Still so elevated, so good up in terms of his front 1/3. Big back, got a lot of hip in him, just isn't quite as nice in that flank area. Just a nice place for us to put him in that 2-hole. Young man here with our gray steer coming next has got one that I think feeds really good. If I could say one out here is going to feed real nice, I think this one will be, but he doesn't balance up quite as nice. He's a little shallower in his back 1/3. He's a little deeper out of his chest floor. Still like his bone work. I like his joint work. Big back, big-handed kind of a calf. Just need to balance him up, make him run with them 2 ahead of him. That goes with this blue one coming next. Man, when this one stops, it looks really good, but they know he's not deep enough in the center part of his body. They got to just get that belly, that center part of him just to drop, balance him up from his chest floor back. Big back, big-ended kind of a calf. Need to set him up, and what got kind of knocked him down behind the gray steer, he's just not as comfortable off that rear hock as I asked him to go about the ring, but still good-looking, good kind of a show steer. Young lady brings us, here's one that's just what he is. I mean, big-ended, big kind of a calf. Isn't stout enough to run with them couple ahead of him at the ground, but yet he's got so much product in him, you just kind of scratch your head just a little bit. Maybe just neaten him up, class him up, change him out of his chest floor, make him flex and go just a little nicer, but you really appreciate how much power that calf has right there. Next calf coming out just doesn't balance, especially from his hooks, pins back. Need to jack him up in his pin setting. Just relax him as he goes out of his front. He gets a little steep there. Still high quality in terms of how much center back he's got. Just need to soften him up to run him. The next calf coming out, he too is just kind of like that calf. Got to power him up, give him a little more mass, fix him from his hooks to pins, balance him up there, set him in just a little more comfortable as he gets about in the ring. Young lady's going around our class with a nice kind of a feed and kind of a calf. Need to pull his tail head down in him, set him a little truer on them hocks to make him go any higher.
Back over in our Belted Galloway show, again another single entry in our percentage steer show and an automatic champion, but congratulations to this young man on bringing us an extremely high quality individual out here. Here's one when you evaluate him from the ground up. He's got a great big foot. You really got to appreciate his substance of bone. He's a steer that you really have to admire the hind leg set on as well. One that is extremely long-sided, and for us, those of us that raise cattle, we know that that sure equates to pounds. You get past that, and here's one that's wide-top, thick-ended, really masculine in the way he's built out here. Puts that all into a real nice stature, if you will, as you evaluate him from the side. Congratulations again to this young man.
First call, Class 10 Prospect Steers. First call, Class 10 Prospect Steers. This is also first call for all Prospect Steer class winners. Once again, this is first call all Prospect Steer class winners. Correction, all first and second place prospect steers from their classes. Once again, all first and second place class steers for the prospects. Your champion, purebred mismarked belted Galloway heifer goes to entry number 2, AJC Edge of Glory, exhibited by Abigail Karan. Your champion, Grand Champion Percentage Belted Galloway steer goes to entry number 41, Triple T Tanner, exhibited by Tommy McGuire. Now exhibiting in the ring is the selection of your champion and reserve Grand Champion Belted Galloway Percentage Heifer. Second call, Junior Showmanship, Belted Galloways. Once again, second call, Junior Showmanship, Belted Galloways.
Heifers out here in front of Beth and I right now are in our percentage championship drive in the Belted Galloway show. We've got a younger heifer over here to my right, one that you can sure project some future into. Female that I think is adequate in terms of her overall soundness, one that's fresh in her conditioning, like the way that neck comes up high out of the top of her shoulders. Female, as I said, you can sure read some future and some longevity into that one. Then you get back to the older heifer on our left. Here's one that has some true power. Really like the substance of bone you see in this one when you compare to the younger heifer that's out here to the right. Female that for Beth and I too is sure adequate in terms of her overall soundness. Love the length of side that you see in her, the depth of rib. Young lady's got her nicely shown and nicely presented out here as well. With that being said, Beth and I are more comfortable. We're going to go with the older heifer to my left. She's going to be our champion percentage female. Gentleman's female to the right is going to be our reserve. Congratulations.
Third and final call, Belted Galloway Junior Showmanship. Third and final call, Belted Galloway Junior Showmanship. This is also your first call, Intermediate Showmanship. First call, Belted Galloway Intermediate Showmanship. Second call, all first in place prospect steers. Second call, all first and second place prospect steers. And your grand champion belted Galloway percentage heifer goes to entry number 30, FCL Punta Bella Dante, exhibited by Kaylee Klein. And your reserve grand champion percentage heifer goes to entry number 7, Rock Creek Dottie, exhibited by Tommy McGuire. Second call, Belted Galloway Intermediate Showmanship. Second call, Belted Galloway Intermediate Showmanship.
Well, another really high quality class of steers to kind of wind our show steer down, or show classes down, or steer classes down. Sorry about that. I think just high quality, especially on this top end of this calf class. The young lady brings us one that just fits the mold that I've been kind of looking for all day. It's kind of ironic that these things are kind of colored up like this, but I think this one just fits right in there. Big back, big ended kind of a calf, really square from his hooks to pins, really true and square, and carries a lot of muscle and shape down through that center part of his quarter. Now, he does want to fight her just a little bit and get reached back a little bit. When this one is really out and walking, he feels his track really nice. He's got that really good look about his front end, a calf that I think balances up really nice. And that's probably where he gets this young man's white calf, not to take anything away from this young man. You have brought him to the table here. He looks good. You've got him presented excellent. You got everything out of him that you could get. But where he struggles for me is when I put him in motion, he wants to twist and kind of get a little tight up there in his spine. We need to loosen that up, make him reach just a little nicer underneath. I think it all starts right up there. But, man, when you get this one parked, you got him presented to the nines. I like that about him. He balances up nice, a calf that still's got a bright future, and I was picking on him just a little bit to run with that class winner, but really high quality. Here's one that is maybe I think days ahead of him are going to be awesome. but he's not quite there for me today, especially up out of the top side of his structure. He gets a little raw in behind that shoulder blade. Need to loosen that up. Maybe give him just really maybe he's got a lot of hair down there. He's a little shallower in that flank. I'd like to maybe just balance him right there. Love this one's bone work. This one's big boned. I love that pipe work in this calf. Like the extension up through his front. Really square about his top line. I think one that you got a bright future with this one. Keep after that one, young lady. I think the next calf, the next red calf coming out, and I thought this calf was really a contender for me up early in the first part of this class. I love this one's power, but where this one gets in trouble is maybe he just opens up and gets too much power for me. He's a little stiffer and wants to kind of waller about his off of the two, comparing him to the ones ahead of him. Is it bad? No, it's not bad. It's nothing I would give up on. He just maybe needs to be slowed down ever so slightly just to kind of let him catch up with all that muscle he has in him. I think maybe he would free up and just maybe go just ever so slightly, just a little bit better. Gets a little raw out of that base of his shoulder. Man, with that much power, I sure appreciate that. I think here's one that's just packed full of meat. Just need to neaten him up to run any higher today. Young lady's got a nice, good-looking black steer coming next. Just got some extension, got some look where he gets in trouble. He's already a little deeper in his chest floor. Kind of comes up in his flank work. He, too, does not feel his track quite as nice. He wants to get a little hawked in off of that rear, too. When she gets this one stopped, this one is as good as anything in the class. It's when I get this one in motion that I got to kind of change him up just a little bit. Next calf coming out's got a good look to him. He's got some extension to him. He's just not as soft-centered. He's a little higher flanked. Got to give him some more power down low. The young man coming out with this next calf then has got one that's got some extension about his front. As you study this calf, though, he just gets a real shallow in his forerib. We got to give him some more power up high, right in behind that shoulder blade. The young lady with the red short-horned kind of marked calf gets a little plain out of his front 1/3. Need to clean him up in his chest floor. Big back, got a lot of power up high. Just need to kind of neaten it up, make him a little neater that way. The redneck roan calf's got a good look. He's really long-spined as you study this calf up over the top of his shoulder blades. Just need to blow him apart, give him a little more width down low, and then winding out our class. Just a good feeding kind of a calf. Need to give him a little more look just to run him any higher.
Third and final call, all first and second place prospect steers. Once again, third and final call, all first and second place prospect steers.
Over in the belted Galloway ring, this is going to be our junior showmanship out here. We've been told to pick a champion in reserve. Then we've got an intermediate and a senior where we do the same and then bring them back for a grand and reserve grand overall. We've got a great group out here. Beth and I were just talking. Want to compliment all these young people on knowing the answers to the questions that we've asked, being very knowledgeable with regards to their projects out here without giving too much away. Some of the things that Beth and I are looking for, how you hold your show halters, very important in terms of how you can control your animal, how you come into the ring holding your show stick, how you kind of blend with your animal. Remember, it's about getting the most out of your animal when you come out here to compete. And that takes practice at home and people looking and people holding your calf for you where you can go around and look and know, hey, what's the best look for this animal to help me achieve my goals out here. A big deal for Beth and I, a big, big deal are people that are able to walk their animal into it. You get close to setting them up, you turn around and walk them into it. That's going to be the best and most natural look that animal gives you, in our opinion. A lot of times when you can do that, you're going to only end up needing to move one leg, and that's going to be a front leg probably to get those things parked just the way they need to be. We've went down through this lineup. It's a tough choice for us. Beth and I have got a pair picked out, though, that we think are very smooth with their animal. They know what's going on out here all the time, always keeping eye contact with us, and always doing the best job they can to keep their animal looking their best for us so we can get their best look, their best shot, and we appreciate that. Without saying any more, Beth's going to go show you our two favorites within this division. Then we'll jump into our intermediates. Congratulations.
First call, Belted Galloway Senior Showmanship. First call, Belted Galloway Senior Showmanship. Congratulations to your champion junior showman of your Belted Galloway show, to number 44, Isabel Baker. Your reserve champion junior showman goes to entry number 63, Lexi Zepp. Second call, belted Galloway Senior Showmanship. Second call, belted Galloway Senior Showmanship. Once again, all first and second place prospect steers to the makeup arena. All first and second place prospect steers to the makeup arena immediately.
Get out here in contention for our intermediate showmanship within the belt at Galloway's. Beth and I'd like to just congratulate another really, really good group of young people for coming out here and doing just an awesome job with their animal. As we progress in age, you can see these kids just getting better and better as we go. There's several out here that are contenders for us. Some things we notice out here and some things for you guys to think about. I don't know if you heard earlier, something we really look for are young people that can walk their animal into a pose. And that takes some work and time of being with them at home when we do that. As we look at this lineup out here, think about your spacing. How close are you to the one in front of you? Where are you within the lineup? Are you way out to the side of the rest of them? Are you in line? Are you too close to the wall? Those are all little things to think about, not just showmanship, but that's what's preparing you for when you're out here competing as well. As I said, most of you have done a great job out here. Beth and I have had a great time evaluating the intermediates. We've got a couple that rose to the top pretty handily for us. Again, congratulations. Beth is going to go show you the pair that we like for champion and reserve.
Well, as we get right here to our last class of steers, man, it just kept coming and kept coming, kept coming. I think there's 4 or 5 in this particular class that's going to have great years. But I think this young lady's calf here, he's ready today. This is just a show steer. He comes out here and just shows off. I love that about him. He's got the right size bone. He's got the right size feet to him. A calf that's got worlds of good in terms of his top shape. He's so good from his hooks to pins. He's got a lot of stifle muscle in him. As I talked about a couple of them other classes, I love the way he balances up down through the center part of his body, comes out of that chest floor really nice. He's got some spread to him. excellent. I mean, just really cool looking head and neck about him. Like that calf quite a bit right there. Now, one that pushes him in my mind is this young man's white calf, but now he's just not quite as nice. At the point of his shoulders, our class winner gets a little deeper in his chest floor. Picking on him, man, I don't mean to pick on him much, because I think here's one that's sure got a lot of good about him. When you want to talk about one that's going to be here for the long haul, I think this calf's really good in his bone work. His joints are clean. He's got some power. He's got some mass to him. You look down through that center part of his body like that. We just need to change him out of that chest floor ever so slightly to run with that class winner, but a good pair of steers going here. Young man with this black calf, if this particular calf would like himself maybe just a little bit better, because there's glimpses out here this calf gets really, really good, and then there's glimpses where he just really kind of wants to just fall apart and break himself up. A calf that just doesn't tie together quite as nice. Right in behind that shoulder blade is them two ahead of him. He's not quite as clean and neat and attractive when you talk the undercarriage of him. A calf that just doesn't, and he's not comfortable out here. He's not flexing and reaching quite as nice. Love his bone work. Love how much power he has. Just need to lay him together. He's got to like himself out here. I think he could get real, real good. Next calf coming out here, here's just one that's just a nice calf. He's just really complete, but where he gets in trouble for me is when I do get him in motion, he just really wants to get tight up there in that center part of his back. Need to give him just a little more flex. As that would go, I think he would go just a little nicer at the ground. He's not the biggest piped one out here. He needs a little more bone work, but still so solid in terms of just high quality show steer. I think if you just kind of bring that one along a little nicer, he'll come on real nice. Young man brings us a nice one in this black and white one. He's just kind of what you see is what you get type deal. Square-ended, big-backed, really kind of wants to reach up underneath him. Got to give him just a little more flex, especially out of that front shoulder. He gets a little straight there. That kind of says that about the next calf coming out. Just got to give him a little more angle to his shoulder, a little more set and reach and flex off that rear hock. Gets a little uncomfortable out here. Really makes him want to kind of roll up in his back and roll off his hip. He is just a nickel short hipped anyhow, but once we could kind of get him just to relax, make him go just a little nicer there. Nice calf coming here with a white-legged calf. Another one of them that's just what you see is what you get. He's not maybe quite as nice from his hooks to pins. Need to jack him up in his pin work. Give him just a little nicer, a little more power through the center part of his body. Next calf coming out gets a little too much for me in terms of just where he's going to stop at. He gets a little straight out of his shoulder. Still got that good look. He's really reaches and looks good out of his front. Maybe changing where his tail head sets in him. Just maybe neaten him up. A big powered up calf comes this young lady coming next. Just a meat wagon. But along with that, he brings some problems to the table. He's not as neat in his chest floor. He's not as cool in his head. A calf that just needs to just relax and just kind of go and get comfortable just to get him any higher. Then winding up our class, the young man brings us a nice one in this particular class. But he gets a little straight in his ankles. Just doesn't want to flex and reach off of them quite as nice. Doesn't have as much power as a few of them in that particular class. Man, it's going to be good, folks. You're going to want to get in here and see this. This is a good lineup we got coming. I think our class winners are going to be awesome. Looking forward to it.
And your champion intermediate showman of your belted Galloway show goes to back tag number 64, Lane Mollett. Your reserve champion goes to entry 45, Abigail Karen. Now exhibiting in the belted Galloway ring is your senior showmanship.
And in first place in class number 10 of your Prospect Steer Show goes to entry number 789, exhibited by Carl Berkheimer. Second place goes to entry number 3981, exhibited by Landon Marvel. Excuse me, first place in Class 10 goes to entry number 85, exhibited by Carl Berkheimer. And second place goes to entry number 35, exhibited by Landon Marvel. And third place goes to entry number 14, exhibited by Cohen Guthrie. And in fourth place goes to entry number 11, exhibited by Jackson Kidd. And in fifth place goes to entry number 160, exhibited by Craig Fuller. And in sixth place goes to entry number 27, exhibited by Case Redmond. And seventh place goes to entry number 18, exhibited by Caitlin Contrell. And number eighth place goes to entry number 158, exhibited by Nolan LeBeau. And ninth place goes to entry number 82, exhibited by Victoria Heiler. And in 10th place goes to entry number 48, exhibited by Caden Gardner. Congratulations to those individuals. We are now on the grand drive of Prospect Steers. We need all Prospect Heifers, Class 1, be making your way to the makeup ring. Prospect Heifer, Class 1, to the makeup ring. This will be the first call for Class 2 Prospect Heifers. First call, Class 2 Prospect Heifers.
As we get into our senior showmanship out here in the Belt of Galloway show, got a few more numbers out here in the ring, and Beth and I, we debated on splitting them or keeping them all together in one group, and we decided, well, this is an older bunch. Let's see how well they handle being out here with this many in the ring in terms of managing where they're at and their spacing and keeping their animal lined up, and just many things that hit you when you've got this number out here. And again, we'd like to congratulate our seniors. We've got an awesome group out here. I think it gets really hard to pick just two within this lineup. There's several of you that Beth and I could sure make the case for out here. As we've commented on earlier, we're looking for somebody that walks their animal into it, that knows how to hold their show halter right, where they have the most control over their animal, someone that's slow and smooth and methodical, and one that somebody that just kind of slows the game down out here, makes it look easy. And we've narrowed that down to a couple that we think have done a great job, and even have done a great job throughout the show. We've gotten to watch you all as you've shown throughout your classes as well. But again, congratulations. For Beth and I, our champion and reserve champion senior showman, going to be the young man directly in front of me right here coming out. He's going to be our champion. Then we're coming back here to the young lady that's about fourth from the end with the big heifer. She's going to be our reserve. Congratulations to both of you. Everybody here has done an awesome job.
And congratulations to your champion senior showman of your belted Galloway show, entry number 55, Ashton Karen. Your reserve champion senior showman goes to entry 65, Olivia Onley. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much to our belted Galloway exhibitors. Congratulations on a great show. We hope to see you next year.
We're now selecting your grand champion prospect steer. Again, we're selecting your grand champion prospect steer. We need those first couple classes of prospect heifers up to the makeup ring. Those first couple classes of prospect heifers up to the makeup ring. We need back tag number 176, Class 1 prospect heifers to the makeup ring immediately. Entry number 176, prospect heifer, Class 1 to the makeup ring immediately.
Well, the first thing I want to say is I absolutely have enjoyed myself 100% out here, and I didn't know what to expect in terms of what we were going to get into, but man, it just got really good out here, and I hope you folks ringside can see what I've done out here and follow along with me. I want some cattle that's just functionally right. Just in terms of soundness, I want them to be there next summer. And I'm telling you, folks, I don't think there's a class winner out here that I'm going to have to worry about that with. I think they're going to be right on. I think they're really super sound, super functional. And then after that, you start building them. You know, some of them's got more muscle, got some more shape to them than others. Some of them's got a little more look to them. It's kind of what your preference is. I think there's several of these class winners, along with several of them seconds, that if you guys follow along throughout the year in their part of the country, you know, we don't know where they're coming from. I think you'll follow along and see some cattle that have flat got some shows won. I think there's maybe 7, 8, 10 of them out here that's going to absolutely hang some banners, and that's pretty cool. This is impressive out here. With that being said, you know, it is kind of hard out here, you know, in this weight class deal of where we are at, you know, where is some of the end points at, you know, we go from this young man down here, and I don't want to take anything away from him, but where is his end point compared to this young lady down here on this end? It makes it just a little bit tougher, but hey, they're high quality. My compliments to them in terms of just what they brought to me. It's been a pleasure to share the mic with Travis and Beth over here, man. I look up to you guys. You guys are awesome, and I appreciate the opportunity from the North American. I'm going to go out and take one more look, but you all need to put your hands together because this is a good lineup out here, especially from where I'm standing.
And your grand champion prospect steer goes to entry number 85, exhibited by Carly Berkheimer from Dillsburg, Pennsylvania. Congratulations. And your reserve champion prospect steer goes to entry number 74, exhibited by Chandler Jones out of Gurgley, Illinois. Congratulations to all.
Back over on the belt at Galloway ring over here, I just want to come back at Brad there a little bit and say thank you. Beth and I really appreciate the compliment, and we've enjoyed sharing the mic with him. He's a guy that Beth and I have looked up to for years, and when you come out here and you judge across from him, you kind of want to be on your A game as well. He kind of sets the mold for a lot of us, so appreciate the comments there. So we get back to our overall champion in reserve. Again, you look through, and this time of the day, I just want to say it's hard for cattle to act good. They want to go home. They want to go back and eat or go to tie-outs, and as you look through this lineup, these cattle are acting awesome. I don't know if the cattle that we have here showing would act this good at this time of the day, and that just shows the work that you all have put into your projects, and Beth and I really appreciate that. With that being said, too, we've went through and kind of talked about the things that we're looking for, and there's a pair out here for Beth and I that are just kind of the total package in terms of grand and reserve grand within our showman. I guess if you look at it from the standpoint of who would we get tonight to go show our open cattle for us on Tuesday, we'd have to go to this young man right here that wins the senior, and then we'd come right back to the young lady that was reserved behind him. She's going to be our reserve grand showman as well. Congratulations. It's been a real pleasure for Beth and I to be out here on the green shavings and work with the youth here of the Belta Galloway Association. Thank you.
And once again, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and thank Travis and Beth Pembroke for their time. We greatly appreciate them judging the Belted Galloway shows, and a large congratulation goes to your grand champion Belted Galloway showman, entry number 55, Ashton Karen. Your reserve grand champion Belted Galloway showman goes to entry 65, Olivia Oatley. Thank you so much, Belted Galloway exhibitors, and we hope to see you next year.